Hello my fellow gods and goddesses, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and today we are doing my February wrap-up. So in the month of February, I read 18 books / graphic novels, which equated to 6,231 pages read. I had 4 5-star reads, 4 4-star reads, 2 3.5 reads, 3 3-star reads, 1 2.5-star, and then finally 1 1-star. Just like in my January wrap-up, I will have a link to all of the playlists I have made for the variety of books, so just check out in the description if you're interested in that, and let's get in to the nitty-gritty. So the month of February was a very exciting month because it was the month of the first time I participated in a read-a-thon, and that was a fairy tale-a-thon. Now, if you saw my fairy tale-a-thon TBR, I didn't stick to that. The first book I read was Heartless by Marissa Meyer, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. Heartless is a Queen of Hearts retelling. It is her origin story, and I absolutely adored it. It was the first book I finished for a fairy tale-a-thon. The writing was gorgeous. The story was gorgeous. I didn't necessarily love the motivation for the Queen of Hearts to become evil and dark. It was very, very cliche, and it wasn't my favorite, but just the storytelling, the audiobook is fantastic. It's made me want to pick up the Lunar Chronicles, which I never thought I would read just because sci-fi isn't really my thing, but because of Marissa Meyer's writing, guys, it is so good. It truly is magical, and I am so excited to pick up more of her book. The next book I read was Sun and Moon, Ice and Snow by Jessica Day George. This is a retelling of East of the Sun, West of the Moon, which is my second favorite fairy tale. I say retelling because it's more of a novelization of the story to make it a 200-page. I think it's like 200 to 300 pages. It's not flowery at all. There is not a lot of detail, not a lot of, fluffiness, which at the beginning I actually really enjoyed because it was kind of a break from a lot of flowery, because obviously that can get really tiring sometimes. But as the plot started to thicken and as we got to conflict, it was just really bad and it was really boring. Like the kiss happened in one sentence and it was just not good. I learned that after I was reading it, when I was looking through Goodreads, that it is published by a children's publisher. So it's categorized as YA, but I'm pretty sure it's more like middle grade. I would even go as far as to say it's just a chapter book, just like a really long chapter book, because it was very, very simplistic. And for that reason, I gave it 2.5 stars, and that 0.5 was pretty generous because it was not good, but because I understood the context, I can't really knock it for that. So there you go. The next book I read was Spindle by Lexa Hillier. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. This is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. We follow 2 sisters. One is the older illegitimate daughter of the king, and she is blind. And then we follow the younger sister, who is Aurora, and she is both mute. She also doesn't have a sense of touch due to like the gifts of the fairies. Not really much to say about the plot because again, it's a retelling. But it was very, very interesting. It was very dark and eerie. I loved the fairy lore, and for that I am going to continue to the second book because I'm really hoping it builds off on that. The sister dynamics were really cool. It was very predictable, but it's not only a YA, but it's a YA retelling, so you know, I don't really mind that. Like, cliche, predictable. It doesn't necessarily have to deter me from enjoying the book, similar to Heartless. I really enjoyed it, and A Sleeping Beauty doesn't get a whole bunch of retellings, so I enjoyed it. Oof, the next one. Oh my lord. So, the next book I read was The Forbidden Wish by Jessica Cowrie. I gave this 1 star. This book was garbage. The Forbidden Wish is an Aladdin retelling, and it is just about the whitest shit I've ever read in my life. You can tell that the author didn't pick up a single Middle Eastern history book, nor did she even read the original fairy tale. I wholeheartedly believe that she just watched the Disney movie. It is so bad. And the relationship, okay, so I didn't really explain it because I already went on a rant. It's a gender-bent retelling of Aladdin, but it's not even the gender-bent. She only switched one of their genders, which is borderline homophobic, but that's a stretch even for me. Like, there's a female genie and then Aladdin, of course, and of course they like fall in love. And this genie, she is supposed to be like the most powerful genie of all time, but as soon as she saw Aladdin, she was just like, oh my god, he's cute. Like, she's like 5,000 years old, and she was blushing and just like doing stupid crap, like sacrificing herself and like protecting him after meeting him for like 5 minutes. It was just a mess. Also, Aladdin was literally the worst. I didn't think it was possible for me to hate Aladdin because, you know, childhood crush, how can you hate him? But I hated him so much. The best part of the book is when he got kidnapped by a bunch of women. It was so bad. Literally the only reason I didn't DNF this at like 20% is because I wanted to include it in a worst retellings video. So you guys better love me because this was worse than torture. Okay. The next book I read was A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I just did a video on this of spoiler review, so if you've read the book or you don't care about spoilers, I will link that up there. It's a Jija book by its cover, and it's so good, if I do say so myself. I give this 4 out of 5 stars. I'll just do a brief overview in case you haven't read it yet and you want to. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It follows the prince and the belle. The writing's really good. The story is very much original, and so I really did enjoy myself despite it being a unoriginal Beauty and the Beast retelling. It is original, and I really liked the writing. I flew through it. I read it in like a day and a half. Loved the side characters. I really hate the 2 main characters with a passion, but because of the world and because of the villain specifically and one of the side characters, I definitely will be continuing the series, and hopefully the 2 main characters get their asses kicked. Enough said. The next book I read was Stain by A.G. Howard. This is a Princess and the Pea retelling. Like the very last thing I read for a fairy tale-a-thon, I wasn't really in a good mood. I would say I wasn't in the best mindset to read it in the first place, but that's stretching it. I don't think I'm a fan of A.G. Howard's writing. I absolutely hated it. She's trying to write like a fairy tale writes, but it just doesn't work. The book was so unnecessarily long. This is just over 500 pages, and it absolutely did not have to be that long, and it was just such a struggle to go through. I skimmed like so much of it just trying to get through it, and it just wasn't interesting. I didn't care about anything, and if you can't make me care about a character in 500 pages. The next book I read was Grave Mercy by Robin Lefevre's. I tried to read all of Robin Lefevre's books in a week because I was meeting her. I will link that vlog up above. It's probably one of my favorite videos I've posted, so at least watch like the first 20 minutes, because then you get to see the interview and like my little trip through San Francisco. The other half is just, you know, my boring ass life. I failed. I only read Grave Mercy. Well, I reread it. I read it when I was younger, but I totally don't remember anything, which is so on brand for me. I don't remember anything I ever read, which is very inconvenient, I should say. Grave Mercy is basically Nun Assassins. There you go. As is a common theme in the books I read, if you haven't noticed, I hated the two main characters. For the majority of the book, the main character, nothing's happening. Like, she's literally just like trying on dresses and like just like flouncing around at court. She doesn't kill anybody like for, you know, like 100 pages. And I'm just like, what? It's just, it was a mess. And the love interest was such an asshole. Like, he comes in to the convent and, like, he owns the place and he belittles the main character so much, and she puts up with it. Like, at one point she's this badass assassin that can kill like 6 men in like a minute. But then she's like cowering down to like almost every diplomat and like just politician at court. It just was very, very inconsistent. And it just irritated me a lot. And yeah, because of that, I didn't like the romance, I didn't like the characters, but I really love the world. And the next 2 books in the series the next 4 books now, because there's the new book, Courting Darkness, which I have right here. And look at that. Is that my name? Wow. She's impressive. I'm sure she's in them, but like she's not like the main person. At least I don't think she is. If she is, hopefully she gets better, or hopefully she gets her ass kicked. The next book I read was Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and it was so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Heretics Anonymous, I'm sure you guys know, I also put this in my paintings, underrated paintings video, so I will link, oh wait, what am I doing over here? It's over here. I will link that up here. Go watch it. It's my first recommendations video, and I was really nervous to post it, but I think it came out pretty good. Heretics Anonymous follows this atheist boy who ends up having to go to Catholic school because his parents move around a lot, and in class he listens to this girl who basically calls out the nun and the biblical teachings bullshit they are and how misogynistic everything is, and he thinks that he's like found like a comrade in the school, but it turns out that she is actually heavily Catholic and she wants to be the first female priest, and she introduces him to this group called Heretics Anonymous, which is a group of various religious, you know, dominations. Very interesting, very thought-provoking. I know a lot of people are saying it's a romance book, and although yes, of course it's a contemporary, there's a romance in it, duh, but I didn't think the romance like took away from the story, nor did I think it overpowered it. Like, yes, it is a big theme in the book. I don't agree with people who say that it's solely a romance book, especially because I'm not a huge fan of romance, and I still think the religious themes and like the religious subjects were thoroughly examined, and it's also freaking hilarious. Oh my god, I was laughing out loud, and I never thought a book could do that. You know that huff that you do? Like that? When you read, like, I do that a couple times, but like, no, I like actually laughed. It was such a good time. Highly recommend it, especially if you're into religion like I am. Do it. So the next 5 things I read were graphic novels, and I started off reading Witches by Scott Snyder, Volume 1. This is a horror graphic novel that follows this family. This family has moved because the daughter had an accident with a bully, and I'm not going to get too into details, but there's a horror element to it. There are these monsters, like these ancient monsters known as witches. So I really don't want to give much because it is a graphic novel, so it's pretty short, but I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Points for anxiety rep. Really liked how anxiety was portrayed in this graphic novel. It was really nice subplot. And yeah, 4 to 5 stars. We'll be picking up the other volume. The next graphic novel I read was Heavy Vinyl Volume 1 by Carly Houston. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It was absolutely incredible. All you need to know is it follows a group of girls who work at this record store, and I'm not going to tell you more. It's just so perfect. The love interests in this, like the couples in this, are so freaking cute. I love them so much. It's gay, it's beautiful, it's just stunning. Please read it. So good. Or the next graphic novel I read was Paper Girls by Brian Vaughan. This is a sci-fi graphic novel. Very Stranger Things-esque. Like, it's basically Stranger Things, just like a bit in the future and with girls. But I didn't know it was sci-fi going into it, so because of that I didn't enjoy it, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. But the banter was really nice. The characters are really cute. If you like sci-fi, I wholeheartedly recommend this. It just wasn't for me personally. This one I actually have, and that is The Lightning Thief graphic novel by Robert Venditti. 5 out of 5 stars. It's just the story of the Lightning Thief, but in graphic novel. I just picked up Sea of Monsters and Titan's Curse from my library, so yes. I really loved reading this. I just adore this story every single time I read it in any format. It's just amazing. The next book I read was House of Salt and Sorrow by Erin A. Craig. I was sent an e-arc by the publisher through NetGalley, and I could never be more grateful for anything in my entire life, because this is my favorite book of the year. And I mean, it was better than this. Like, I hope Patroclus can't hear me through this. House of Salt and Sorrow is a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, which is my favorite fairy tale. I don't want to go too into depth of why I loved this, because I will be doing a Judge a Book by its cover on this. I actually want to film that soon. This comes out in August, so quite a bit ways away. Again, why I don't really want to get you guys excited, even though I want to get you guys excited, and trust me, my Twitter will be filled with this book when it gets closer to the release date. It's so incredibly dark, yet so incredibly whimsical at the same time. Like, I got scared in a crowded university hallway reading this book, but I also want to get up and dance while I read it, and just the aesthetics of it were amazing. The characters were amazing. I actually loved the main characters, and oh my Jesus Christ, the romance. I have not loved a hetero romance this much in so long, and I will die for them. I will die for them, and I will die for them. Case closed. Oh, I totally forgot another graphic novel. I also finished American Vampire Volume 2 by Scott Snyder. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I really didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first volume, but I'm still going to continue it because, you know, that's normal. Same with books in general, second book syndrome. It's not any different with graphic novels apparently, so I will be continuing it. I just didn't really like this one. The next book I read was These Rebel Waves by Sarah Rosh. This is a book that follows 3 perspectives. One is a healer, a botanical healer slash magic person. The magic system in this is very botanical based, so she deals with that element. And then there is a pirate guy, and then there is the Prince of the King. This takes place in kind of a imperialistic kind of setting. It's pretty much exactly Spain and like any of the Caribbean islands that they took over. Christian Spanish people came over, and they're trying to squash the indigenous religion, aka magic, all that kind of stuff. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. Pretty average. I was under the impression that this was a pirate book, but it's really not. It's not really pirates. It's really like a very much political book about like an uprising, basically. So if you like political books, you might like this one. The characters I was indifferent towards for most of the book, but towards the end I liked 2 out of 3 out of the characters, so that's pretty good numbers. Pirate is very charismatic and I really love him. I love him a lot, actually. Their banter, oh my god, and he calls her Princessa. I don't know what it is about princess/princessa, like, I love that pet name. Intrigued enough to carry on with the series. I'm just not gonna be at Barnes & Noble on the release date. Let's just say that. The next book I read this month was The Summoning by Kelly Armstrong. I read this for the Trashback Book Club, which I co-host with Chandler Ainsley and Carrie the Book Bell. We had a live show for this book, and I will link it up here because then you get to see all of our thoughts. I gave this 2 out of 5 stars, and on the trash meter, quality trash, true trash, chaotic trash, and then burning trash, this is chaotic trash.
Oh hi, thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Check out the Trashback Book Club. I will link the Twitter down below because it's so much fun. I'm so excited for this book club. Next month we're doing Fallen by Lauren Kate, so join us with that. I'm not gonna give my thoughts on it because I want you to watch the live show, but yes, this is the lovely book I read. Oh, and the very last book I read this month was 3 Dark Crowns by Kendara Blank. I read this yesterday in one sitting. I love this book. I am so trash for the Queen's trope. I know a lot of people don't like it, especially in lately, because it seems like all books are having the Queen trope. I mean, literally, 4 Dead Queens just came out this week. Totally understand why people don't like it, but I loved it. The world is so cool. We follow 3 queens. One is a naturalist, so like animals and like plants and stuff. One is a poisoner, and then the other is a elemental. Oh my god, just the politics of this world and all of the different magic systems was one of the most interesting things I've read in a while. I am so excited about this series. I have thoughts about the romances in here. First of all, the fact that not one of these queens are gay, it sounds fake, but okay. And then the fact that each one of them has to have a romance is so unnecessary. And they're all dumbass bitches too, like with the romances. I mean, one technically doesn't have a romance, but you know what's gonna happen, so. I don't have a favorite queen yet because they're all dumbass bitches. But I have a feeling due to the ending of this, I'm going to like Kat, who is the poisoner, because something happened at the end of this book and I'm just like, alright, I'm listening. I really loved this, and I was really scared because people drag this series to filth, and I'm like, y'all are just mean. Like, this is really good. Like, yes, the characters are annoying and the romances are unnecessary, but show me a YA book that doesn't have unnecessary and annoying characters in it. You can't. I just loved this book. And also would like to note, I listened to this on audio from my library. I went to Goodwill the exact same day, found this. Here's the tag for proof. I took it off because it wraps around the edge. This book we were made for each other. Alright Alright guys, so that is the end of this video. I really hope you had a awesome reading month in the month of February. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books. Let me know down below if you want to read any of these books. And lastly, let me know down below if you hated any of these books, because that is the true tea that we all love. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and yeah.